Savior, Redeemer, Messiah, Son of God, Christ. Throughout history, Jesus has been known by many names. But Top G has not been one of them. That is until now. Enter Gen Z. The young are becoming one with God. They're talking about the divine bro, aka Jesus Christ, and spilling the holy tea, meaning the gospel. Not in church, but on TikTok, where dozens of accounts are yesifying the Bible, getting millions of views, and giving Jesus a holy makeover. The young are rewriting Bible scriptures, where the crucifixion is a glow-up, where Jesus has riz or charisma, where the disciples are stressing hard, so the divine bro asks them to chill. Bible stories have been rewritten with modern slang memes and punctuation or the lack thereof, which will make your heart ache. But Gen Z says, bro, chill. Because they have a different goal here, to keep people vibing with the Bible. They want to make the holy text more accessible, even if that means taking a digital approach in a loose conversational style. And while their heart is in the right place, the Gen Z Bible does call Mary a pick-me girl, or a woman who is trying too hard to win male attention. Of course, not everyone is happy about this. Critics say this trivializes the scripture. They call it disrespectful. Some social media users have even called it blasphemous. But the reactions are mixed. Some Christian scholars have in fact praised this approach. They're reading it in church, and they call it the evolution that Christianity needs, the bridge between ancient wisdom and modern-day pop culture. They think it could inspire more youngsters to read the Bible, and they may have a point, because Bible sales have skyrocketed this year. They soared by 22%, mostly thanks to young college students in the West who are buying the book in droves. This is a hallelujah moment for Christianity. It has been slowly dying in the West. In 2010, Europe's Christian population stood at 553 million. By 2050, it is expected to drop to 454 million. That's a fall of about 100 million. In fact, the decline is already evident in huge Gothic cathedrals with empty pews, or in shuttered church buildings which are increasingly being converted into nightclubs. That's Europe for you. The US is following closely. 8 in 10 Americans say the church is losing influence. About 64% Americans call themselves Christian today, which may sound like a lot, but about 50 years ago, this number stood at 90%. The decline is so sharp that by 2070, Christians may no longer form the majority in the US. The church is trying to change that. They're trying to curry favor with the young. The Vatican has an anime-style mascot. They have launched an app-driven digital rosary, and a Swiss city has installed an AI Jesus Christ. You can visit the church, ask the Jesus screen anything, and he will respond. And this is not just about apps, AI, or TikTok, and this is not just about Christianity either. Studies show that Gen Z is the least religious generation the world over. Sure, there are exceptions, like here in India, where 8 in 10 people believe in God, or Iran, which is a very religious society. But these are, like I said, exceptions. The norm is a decline in belief. Many countries where religion was important a century ago have some of the lowest belief rates in the world now. And many countries that are still strongly religious have seen recent declines. It's something that we rarely talk about how a religion dies, because we think of religious teachings or rituals as timeless. History shows they're not. Look at the Egyptians, the Greek, or the Norse pantheons. They're now simply legends or myths. So the Gen Z approach may have cracks. It can certainly do with better language, but it's also an attempt to make religion accessible. At the end of the day, faith does not mean rejecting the idea of change. To be passed down, it must evolve and be in tune with the times.
And on Monday, President Joe Biden has taken 37 people off of federal death row. 7 of them are actually from Texas. Governor Greg Abbott has yet to make a comment about death row inmate Robert Roberson, whose case has divided the state's executive and legislative powers. He did, however, grant 4 Texans clemency. Now President-elect Donald Trump is attacking President Joe Biden's decision to commute the sentences of nearly all of the federal inmates that are on death row. Reporter Nicole D'Antonio has more.
Growing reaction over President Biden's decision to commute the death sentences of 37 federal inmates. President-elect Donald Trump posting on social media saying he will direct the Justice Department to, quote, vigorously pursue the death penalty when he takes office. Some of the victims' families are also slamming President Biden's decision.
We were told that per the Constitution, this is the final answer, which is very frustrating to hear.
When President Biden took office, he paused all federal executions. As a devout Catholic, President Biden has said he believes the death penalty should only be used in cases of hate-motivated mass murder and terrorism. Now, only 3 men remain on federal death row: the surviving Boston Marathon bomber, the mass shooter who attacked the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, and the gunman who killed 9 people at Charleston, South Carolina's Mother Emanuel AME Church. While some of the victims' families expressed anger with Biden's decision, some advocacy groups are urging the president to make it more difficult for President-elect Trump to use capital punishment in the future. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
A criminal case has been initiated over the crash of an Azerbaijani airplane in Kazakhstan's Aktau.
38 of the 67 people on board lost their lives, leaving 29 survivors. Ilham Aliyev, the president of Azerbaijan, said that the public will be regularly informed about the results of the commission's work and the progress of the criminal case. The flight, an Embraer 190, was en route Azerbaijani capital of Baku to the Russian city of Grozny in the North Caucasus.
The plane's course on the flight radar website showed it flying away from its normal route, crossing the Caspian Sea and then circling over the area, where it eventually crashed near Aktau, which is an oil and gas hub on the eastern shore of the sea. Reports claim while near Grozny, which was the flight's destination, surviving passengers heard an explosion, followed by what looked like shrapnel hitting the plane and entering the fuselage.
Reports quoted a Russian military blogger who said that the damage to the aircraft suggested that the plane may have been struck by an air defense missile system. Now, Grozny is heavily defended by Kadyrov's Chechen fighters, who are extremely important to the Kremlin and a high-value target to the Ukrainians. Azerbaijan, the president declared a day of national mourning and cancelled a planned visit to Russia for an informal summit of leaders of Commonwealth of Independent States, CIS, which is a grouping of former Soviet nations. Russian President Vladimir Putin held a phone conversation with Aliyev and also expressed his condolences in connection with the crash. Later, Putin said that a Russian emergency situations ministries had been sent to Aktau with medical personnel and other equipment.
Okay, we are following some developing news this morning. Danger on Christmas Day after reports of a shooting in Miramar.
A vehicle with bullets spotted at an IHOP restaurant parking lot. Now 3 people are in the hospital. Let's get to local 10's Trent Kelly, who is at the scene gathering the details for us all this morning. Trent, what can you tell us?
Well, Alexis, we know this all went down just after 1:30 this morning, right here in the parking lot of this IHOP behind me off Red Road. This restaurant location normally open 24 hours, but was briefly shut down earlier this morning following this triple shooting on Christmas morning. An IHOP parking lot turned crime scene overnight in Miramar after a Christmas morning shooting sent 3 people to the hospital. It happened around 1:30 this morning outside the IHOP on Red Road and Miramar Parkway. Police responding to calls of a shooting and found 3 adults on scene who all had been shot. Paramedics rushing all 3 victims to Memorial Regional Hospital in Hollywood. The extent of their injuries still unknown. Police and crime scene detectives working well into the morning, appearing to use flashlights and a metal detector while searching through nearby bushes. Detectives also towing away 2 cars, including this white Acura with blood stains on the side and a bullet hole in the trunk. At this point, who fired off the shots is still unclear as police continue to investigate. And as it stands this morning, the names of these victims have yet to be released. It's also not clear if they may have known each other prior to this shooting. Again, this case still open and active at this time as Miramar police continue to investigate. So far, they have not said whether they are searching for a shooter. For now, that is the latest live from Miramar. I'm Trent Kelly.
More breaking news to get to here at 5. Quite a story. A baby left in the middle of the road on Christmas Day in Adams County.
There's so many questions. The 1-month-old abandoned in the median wearing only a diaper in this cold weather. Fox 31's Nate Bell getting some new information from authorities tonight. He joins us live now. Nate, what have you learned?
Yeah, guys, we're here at it's kind of the intersection of Pecos and Del Norte, north side of Denver. We want to show you this intersection here. This is where the Adams County Sheriff tells us that this morning they had gotten a 911 call. It was about just before 9:30. I just talked with the PIO, the officer from the Adams County Sheriff's Office, and they tell me that somebody was just kind of walking through the area. They happened to notice that child that was in a car seat in the median there. There's kind of like a raised median in the middle of the street. That's where they found him. They got him out of the road. They called 911. Detectives came out here. They were searching the area. I talked to one of the employees of the gas station across the street here. They tell me police came in and got that security footage as well. They're looking for anybody that they can. Now, not long ago, this is only about half an hour ago, the Adams County Sheriff put out there on Twitter and X that they were able to get in touch with family members of this infant. They are currently continuing the investigation. The PIO from the Sheriff's Office tells me that that infant is currently at the Children's Hospital. They're checking it out for any kind of injury. Obviously, they were out here in the elements this morning in the cold. It's obviously raining now. They were out of here before then, but they are keeping track of the infant's health. He said that it seems to be okay. Everything, it seems to be in order, but they are in contact with family members now, and they are still investigating whether they need to pursue any kind of criminal charges in this incident. Again, that child is safe. They are with the Sheriff's Office, and they are now in contact with that child's family. So we'll continue to keep you updated on any updates in this investigation. But for now, I want to send it back to you guys in the studio, reporting live from Denver. Nate Bell, Fox 30.
Bring you some breaking news. You're taking a live look from Hawaii. This is a volcano that has erupted. This is the Kilauea volcano right there, courtesy of USGS. This live look of the lava just erupting and the plumes of smoke coming from the ground. The Kilauea volcano, one of the most active volcanoes in the world, and currently erupting. That is according to the U.S. Geological Survey, providing these live pictures right here. The Hawaiian Volcano Observatory said the eruption began at around 2 a.m. local time today, elevating Kilauea's volcano alert system to the highest warning levels within a closed area of Hawaii's Volcanoes National Park. And you're taking a live look right there at the lava that continues to come out at what officials say is a very rapid rate. That is common during the early eruption period, they say. Now, the lava flow has already covered several square kilometers of the old lava lake created back in December of 2020. That is when it erupted as well. Webcam imagery showing a line of fissures, erupting lava fountains, and also feeding lava flows at the base of this summit. And according to officials, the lava fountains peaked at about 200 feet tall this morning. So the National Park Service preparing for a number of live visitors who, of course, want to see this eruption, and that's why they're tuning in online. Of course, you want to be safe when lava erupts, and so that is what you're seeing right there. The USGS says the activity is currently confined to the summit caldera. However, high levels of volcanic gas, primarily water vapor, carbon dioxide, and sulfur dioxide, are a primary hazard of concern. That being that the gas can have far-reaching effects downwind, creating a visible haze known as volcanic smog. So residents and visitors, they are advised to minimize exposure to volcanic ash and other volcanic particles, which can cause skin and eye irritation. This, of course, the safest way to view this live eruption online and on your devices. So the last known eruption, just to give you some perspective, began on September 15th in the middle of East Rift Zone. That covered 4 acres with lava. There was a brief pause, and then activity resumed at a different area, continuing over the next few days and ultimately covering 156 acres. So this marked a significant shift in volcanic activity at Kilauea. We did want to share that with you as we do get these live looks all around the world and here at home, continuing our live coverage in 2 minutes.
A body has been discovered in the wheel compartment of a plane in the United States state of Hawaii. The ground crew made the gruesome discovery after the United Airlines 787 aircraft landed from Chicago O'Hare Airport. United Airlines said in a statement that the wheel well stowaway is only accessible from outside the plane. It's unclear at this stage how long or when the individual was able to access the plane.
Let's move on to Southern Africa now. At least 21 people, including 2 police officers, have been killed in Mozambique in the last 24 hours. The post-election violence erupted shortly after the ruling party was confirmed the winner in the recent polls. Mozambique's highest court confirmed the disputed election results that extended the ruling Frelimo party's half-century grip on power. The party's winning claim had been under dispute due to allegations of rigging, but the Constitutional Council ruled that presidential candidate Daniel Chapo secured 65% of the votes, revising down the initial results of nearly 71%. Officials said that after the decision, groups of armed men using bladed weapons and firearms carried out attacks against police stations and other infrastructure. More than 70 people have been arrested, several remain injured. Police in armored vehicles patrol the city center of Maputo, where hundreds of protesters in scattered groups started the fires.
Yesterday, here in the Benfica area, 2 young people were shot to death. Police without uniform came in a BT-50 car and started to shoot. Then they went to the localities killing people anyway.
Frelimo wins the election, then come here and talk with us. If they really won, come to celebrate with us if they win. We're asking to have a better life. Our brothers died. We lost our brother here. There is no one from Frelimo, deputy or minister, that died here in the streets. We're the ones who died, the children of dogs.
The Southern African nation held presidential and parliamentary polls on October 9th. On October 24th, Mozambique's poll body declared ruling Frelimo party candidate Daniel Chapo as the winner. The opposition denounced the poll mandate, as did thousands of citizens. Second-place opposition leader Venancio Mondlane has said that the election was stolen from him. Several international observer missions also alleged irregularities in the polls.
I can't betray what the people are expressing in an effusive way, in a strong way. And we, as always, since we started this movement, are doing what the people tell us to do, what the people yearn for, what represents the pain of the people, the afflictions of the people.
Shortly after the court decision, protesters took to the streets in the capital, burning vehicles, and angry citizens pelted stones towards the police in the capital. The first wave of post-election violence was the deadliest in Mozambique, with brutal clashes with the police that continued for weeks. As tensions flared, authorities detained close to 4,000 people. The anti-government protests killed at least 103 people.
And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft. Thanks for being with us here. Like I said, though, before the break, we got to get out now live to this scene in Midtown Manhattan of this taxi cab that jumped the curb and struck pedestrians there. Our friend there at Fox 5 New York reporter Kendall Green, he's been on the scene ever since this happened, and he joins me. Kendall, thanks for being with us. I mean, even on this Christmas day, what more do we know?
Hey, what's going on, Andrew? This has been active since about 4 o'clock this afternoon, about 2 hours so far. But we're learning that a 50-year-old taxi driver apparently was traveling westbound here on 6th Avenue when he jumped the curb and hit 6 pedestrians now. But here's what we know. He's 58, and he was traveling northbound, and he jumped the curb. And FDNY reports 6 patients total, 3 with minor injuries and 3 transported with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Now, 2 of the patients were taken to a local hospital, and another was taken to Cornell. But a total of 6, 3 injured. And we received this update so far. Police don't know what caused the driver to strike these 6 pedestrians, but the people hit include a 9-year-old boy who suffered cuts to his right side, a 41-year-old woman with head injury, a 49-year-old female who sustained a leg injury, and all are in stable condition. Now, there were 3 people who refused medical attention, and among them are a 49-year-old female, a 19-year-old female, and a 37-year-old female. And right now, police are still trying to figure out what caused this guy to jump the curb and hit these 6 pedestrians. But as soon as we get to the bottom of that, we'll share the latest with you. But there's just a bunch of onlookers here. This is a very busy stretch of town, especially around Christmas. Macy's is right across from here. H&M is right across from here. And you can just see a bunch of pedestrians walking, just some taking pictures of what happened. But for this to happen on Christmas Day, I mean, definitely bizarre, Andrew.
Really, really bizarre. Are we going to hear from the NYPD at all tonight, Kendall?
At the moment, we don't think there's going to be a press conference. They've been updating us, sending out, sheets with who the victims are, as many details as they can share right now. But I don't think there'll be a press conference here.
What about the driver? He wasn't listed among the injured here. Where's he right now? Do we know?
Police on scene told me that driver has been taken off scene. I think he's undergoing some type of evaluation. Not sure, what that entails, but he was taken off scene.
All right, Kendall Green, so sorry you have to cover this. A really scary story on Christmas Day, no less. Kendall, we'll talk soon. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir.
All right, in the meantime here, wanted to get that in. If we do see any kind of microphone stand or podium with the NYPD logo come up, we'll bring that to you live. But like Kendall's saying, no instance yet of a possible police press conference in New York City.
We now shift our attention to West Asia. A ballistic missile fired by Yemen's Houthis was intercepted by Israeli air defenses early Wednesday morning, marking the second night in a row and the fourth in less than a week that the Iran-backed group has fired a missile towards Israel. Houthi military spokesperson saying that a Palestine-2 hypersonic ballistic missile was launched, which had, quote-unquote, successfully achieved its objectives. Listen to this.
The missile force, with the help of Allah Almighty, targeted a military target of the Israeli enemy in the occupied area of Jaffa using a hypersonic ballistic missile of the Palestine-2 type. The operation successfully achieved its objectives by the grace of Allah.
The incoming Houthi missile set off sirens over many areas across central Israel, reportedly sending millions of Israelis scrambling to reach bomb shelters. The sirens were activated as a precautionary measure against falling fragments from the interception. 9 people were reportedly injured as they ran to the bomb shelters. Senior Houthi official Hezam al-Assad later posted on X, "How long can 4 million people be in shelters?" As we mentioned earlier, this is the 4th time in less than a week that the Houthis have fired a missile at Israel. In the past 10 days, in fact, the Houthis have reportedly launched 5 ballistic missiles and at least 4 drones at Israel. As per reports in Israeli media, a large fragment from an Israeli interceptor missile landed in the Israeli city of Be'er Yaakov, the Shfela region, and in Modi'in. On Tuesday morning, sirens once again blared across central Israel as Houthis launched a ballistic missile. The IDF reportedly successfully intercepted the missile before it could enter Israeli airspace. On Saturday, a Houthi missile reportedly made its way past Israeli air defense systems, striking a park in Jaffa, south of Tel Aviv, injuring 16 people. Following Tuesday's attack, the Israeli defense minister has threatened that security forces will begin targeting Houthi leaders as well, while the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in a video statement, has said that Israel will act against the Houthis with force and determination. As the Houthis launch yet another strike on Israel, what will Israel's response look like? What is in store for West Asia?
Pakistani airstrikes have targeted multiple suspected hideouts of the Pakistani Taliban. We're talking about the TTP in neighboring Afghanistan. A Taliban government spokesperson has said that 46 people have been killed in the airstrikes. Now, the strikes were carried out on the Barmal district of Paktika province bordering Pakistan. According to sources, at least 6 explosions took place at the Pakistani Taliban camp and Pakistani jets were reported to be seen in the area. The Taliban's Ministry of Defense has vowed to retaliate following the airstrike. The ministry has said defending their land and sovereignty is their legitimate right, claiming that Waziristani refugees were in fact among those targeted. The airstrikes have caused severe civilian casualties and widespread destruction. As recovery efforts continue, reports say further investigation is required to confirm details and clarify responsibility for the attack. Now, this comes amid escalating tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan over the presence of Pakistani militants in the region. The Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, or TTP, has increased its attacks on Pakistani security forces in recent months, with Pakistan accusing the Afghan Taliban of providing shelter to these militant factions. Islamabad claims that the TTP uses Afghan soil to launch attacks over Pakistan, a charge that Kabul has denied. In the reported precision strikes which took place recently deep inside Afghanistan, Pakistan has targeted 4 TTP camps and also the office of Umar Media. And these are the second such strikes this year. Pakistani officials have not officially confirmed the airstrikes yet. The strikes came just hours after Mohammad Sadiq, Pakistan's special representative for Afghanistan, travelled to Kabul. Sadiq, during the visit, met with Afghanistan's acting Interior Minister Sirajuddin Haqqani and Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi. On social media, the Pakistan representative said they agreed to work together to further strengthen bilateral cooperation for peace and progress in the region. And just hours later, the airstrikes were carried out.
Olena Tregub is now joining us. She is the Secretary General, Independent Defense Anti-Corruption Committee, or NACO. She's joining us from Kiev. Olena, good to have you with us on this broadcast. It now seems like this is a retaliation war, because we first saw Ukraine sending drones to Russia, and now Russia has retaliated by sending drones to Kiev. First of all, is the power back on in Kiev?
Yes, right now the power is back. It depends on which region of Kiev you are, actually. But I just want to say to all the viewers, Merry Christmas and glory to Ukraine, because in reality it's just the continuation of the Russian efforts to destroy Ukraine and weaken Ukraine, especially before Donald Trump comes to power on January 20. Of course, Russia will keep doing that. So for us, it's no surprise. This one more attack happened on the Christmas day. But Ukraine is very resilient, and Ukraine is restoring all those power capabilities very fast, actually, because the people who work in Ukrainian energy infrastructure are probably the fastest people in the world in terms of how able they are to fix all those damages.
Olena, it's good that you say that, and Merry Christmas to you too. I forgot to say that. But in all sense, understanding this war, and like I said at the beginning, it looks like a war of retaliation. What do you think will be the ramifications of this retaliation, both from Ukraine and Russia, even before their savior, and I put that in quotes, Donald Trump, gets into office next year?
Well, first of all, I don't agree with you that this is retaliation, because such combined massive attacks, they are being prepared for actually weeks. And Russia has a plan how much they want to damage our infrastructure and our civilians by Trump arrival. So they are acting according to that plan. And Ukraine have our own plan, how we disable Russian war machine, and we're acting according to our own plan. And as for Donald Trump, it is absolutely unclear how he will act. And Ukrainians actually hope that he will bring peace through strength, that he will actually not let Ukraine to become Trump's Afghanistan.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. I've been talking to Ms. Olena Tregub. Mr. Olena, happy holidays, and thank you for talking to us today.
Happy holidays. Bye-bye.
As the war approaches its third devastating year, the fight intensifies, with President Putin claiming his troops are gaining ground every day. The Ukrainians say those gains come at a high price for Russia.
I see how much troops Russians lose and how small piece of lands they took.
Ukrainian soldier Alexei asked we withhold his last name for security reasons. He's been on the front lines in his country's battered east. It sounds like a living hell.
We as soldiers, we understand that it's war, but for civilians, it's very hard.
Ukraine is also losing ground in the Russian region of Kursk, captured by Ukrainian forces during a surprise offensive over the summer. According to a senior U.S. military official, the Kremlin has moved 12,000 North Korean troops into the region, helping the Russians reclaim 40% of their lost territory.
Clearly, Russia has massively accelerated its war effort against Ukraine, but we can see that they are going through record losses.
Andriy Zagorodnyuk is Ukraine's former defense minister. He believes the latest Russian onslaught is timed to the late January inauguration of President-elect Trump.
It's got to stop.
Who has said he can end the war in one day. Is that possible?
Ukrainian people don't want war. If there is an end to war, it needs to be genuine. It needs not to be an operational pause during which Russia can get more troops. Then the next offensive would be much more difficult than this one.
A possibility that weighs heavily on aid worker Katerina Terekova, who is dedicating her life to helping the estimated 10 million displaced Ukrainians.
What that war stolen from a lot of Ukrainians. This is the feeling, the roots with the connection with your hometowns, with the small villages where a lot of people was born.
How long can the Ukrainian people endure this?
You know, if you asking a lot of Ukrainians, all of us will be answering you. We will stand by the victory. This is our homeland. We need to be strong.
What happens next is seen as a test, not just of Ukrainian strength, but also of how the new Trump administration will respond. Aaron McLaughlin, NBC News.